Are you the type of person who is always hustling for another person's approval, or you are in this whirlwind of trying to prove yourself to others, to yourself, and you are always just trying to be perfect? You're in this human doing mode, as I call it, rather than a human being. I'm Kim Gross. I'm the host of Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope that you can stick with me this episode as I am recovering from COVID. If you're watching on YouTube, I decided to use this virtual background of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco because my daughter now lives in the Bay Area. So it helps me to feel a little bit closer to her. Okay, so I asked about this hustling. Do you find yourself hustling for people's approval? Do you find yourself having to always prove yourself? Do you feel like you're always just doing? And it's very difficult for you to just relax and let yourself be. And if you're listening to this podcast, if you're new here, thank you so much for stop listening, and I hope that you find what I'm sharing to be valuable. I don't proclaim to be an expert in anything. I just show up here week after week, sharing with you my experiences, my strengths, and my wisdom that I've learned from doing this inner work. And so, what I'm really talking about here today is this balance between our masculine parts and our feminine parts. Now, what do I mean by that? Do I mean physical attributes? No, I'm talking about the energy that we have. So if we have a lot of masculine energy, we're in this doing mode, achieving, producing, trying to get outcomes, goal setting, very goal oriented, success driven. If you're more in your feminine state or feminine energy, you're in a place of connectedness, flow, ease, and receptivity. For a perfectionist in particular, it's really difficult to cultivate and allow our feminine energy to come forth. We're more dominated by the masculine energy because there's this belief that we have to be performing and perfecting and producing in order to be valued and in order to be loved, accepted, or feel worthy or feel good enough. That's what underlies the root of perfectionism. And oftentimes, this is created in childhood. We learn at some point in time from our caregivers, from societal norms, from our peers, from teachers, that just being isn't enough. Just being a kid and just playing is not enough. In order to be valued, we have to be performing in some way. The performing and the producing is this masculine type of energy, and it often starts and gets rooted in childhood. And then along comes our inner controller. We start to have this part of us, this persona gets created to protect our child self, our true self that is learning it's not okay or it's not enough to just be our true self. So the inner controller says, okay, I'll protect you. I don't want you to feel that pain of disconnection, of separateness, or that feeling that you're not enough just because of who you are. I don't want you to feel that pain. So I'm going to protect you and give you this strategy to perform, to perfect, to produce, to achieve. Because if you're doing that, then people will notice you. Then you'll be seen. Then you're going to get all this external validation and you're going to feel worthy because of all the validation. So I'm going to keep you on this hamster wheel of producing, performing, and perfecting to keep you safe. As a kid, are you aware that all this is taking place? Of course not. This is all happening subconsciously. And these programs that are getting created from the inner controller or the subconscious mind become deeply rooted. In other words, we create these neural pathways, these grooves in our brains that say, if you do A, B, and C, you're going to get X, Y, and Z. And for a long, long time, it worked so well. You did the performing, you did the perfecting, you did the pleasing, you did the producing, you were getting the outcomes. You may have been getting straight A's, you might have been a star athlete. Maybe you were the golden child, or you were the star athlete, you were president of the class, you were popular, you had so many friends, you had people coming over your house all the time. And all of this was feeling good and you were feeling rewarded from it. So it just kept becoming more and more ingrained. This program got deeply rooted. Here is the problem, though. As you became an adult and as we're adults now, those programs no longer work. They work and then they don't work. You can still get all that external validation. Maybe you're a rock star at your job or you're a top salesperson or you have a business and you're killing it because you know how to hustle, you know how to grind, you know how to kick in your masculine energy, but you're not in balance. And you know deep inside you that there's a disconnection. You know that there's a deep, deep dissatisfaction that just getting the outcomes, the accolades, the achievements is not enough. You're exhausted from having to continue to wear this mask, to produce, to perform, to have your masculine energy driving all the time. You don't allow yourself to rest. You don't allow yourself to be that creative. You may have suppressed your sexual or sensual part of yourself, and you simply don't allow yourself to just sit outside in your backyard and do absolutely nothing. And maybe you don't allow yourself to be in nature. These are the types of feminine characteristics or qualities or traits that get ignored. For example, going back to my virtual background of the Golden Gate Bridge and the beautiful sunset, if you are struggling to be in balance with your feminine and your masculine, you could be at this very location. You could be on the bay. You could be looking at the sunset and not be present at all. So you're in nature, great, first step. But while you're there, your mind is constantly in motion about what you have to do. How am I going to, I have to create that sales page because I'm going to be teaching that course or I'm going to be presenting this particular topic and I have to make sure that I kill it. I have to rock it because I have to get a promotion or I'm climbing the ladder of success. And if I don't do this, then I can't be top dog or whatever the story is that is perpetuating for you, that is preventing you from being able to be fully present in nature with the sunset. And this has been my story for so long. I have such a regret at times, although I'm really trying to overcome it. But if I'm honest with you, I do regret that when my kids were young and I was just beginning my healing journey, I was still a real hot mess. I struggled to be present and enjoy my time with them. For example, my daughter might have asked me to play Barbies with her and to sit down on the floor and just really fully engage with playing Barbies was extremely difficult. Like just playing wasn't in my repertoire. I had too many things to do, or my mind was always somewhere else. And I regret that I didn't have that full connection, that full presence with my daughter when she was young. And I'm grateful, so grateful, and happy to say that today I am able to be fully present. And this is why I do what I do with this platform and come on and share with you my experiences, as I said, is something that might inspire or connect or resonate with you that would prompt you or invite you to want to be on the journey of doing the healing work. And I know I talk about it all the time, and I know that people are like, well, what do you mean healing work? I don't want to do the healing work, or I don't have time for healing work. But I have decided that I can no longer hide behind that or downplay the importance of doing the healing work in my life, healing the pain from the past, healing my patterns, learning to take my mask off, learning to unhook from my patterns, and to be so keenly aware of all of my patterns, how I show up, why I'm showing up that way, and taking action to do something different. And the reason I'm saying this is because as a result, and this is what is available to you. And let me just pause for a second and say this, that when I used to listen to my own teachers, my own gurus who used to say the same shit, I'm like, no freaking way. It's not available to me. It's not accessible for me. I don't know how to get there. They're full of it. And I used to get so frustrated because I felt like I was reading all the self-help books, going to therapy, I was taking classes, I was taking courses, I was learning, I was trying so hard because I'm such a perfectionist. And I just could not access that type of the peace, the joy, the abundance that my teachers used to talk about. I used to think to myself, I'm not worthy enough for it, or it's just not going to happen to me. It might be okay for other people, or other people can get there, but it's not going to happen for me. But I didn't stop. I didn't give up. If anything, I know that I have a lot of perseverance and I don't quit. I really don't quit. I don't give up. And I'm so glad to say that I didn't, because I stand here today to say that last week, which is probably where I caught COVID, I did go visit my daughter in the San Francisco Bay Area, again, appropriate to have the virtual background. And I can honestly say that for those 6 days, I was the most present I've ever been in my whole life.
Hey, it's Kim here, interrupting your regularly scheduled podcast episode to let you know about an opportunity to go deeper into this work. I invite you to head over to Amazon.com and pick up your copy of my book, Free to Be: A Pathway to Inner Liberation. If you are looking to unhook from people pleasing and perfectionistic patterns, if you're looking to have a better way of identifying your patterns, and then how you can unhook so you can be free to step outside your comfort zone, free to have more meaningful relationships in your life, free to be your true self without hiding behind a mask any longer. If you desire any of this, then I encourage you to pick up your copy. And if you enjoy my book as much as I loved writing it, please go on over and leave a review on Amazon. You can leave a star review or written review. Now back to your regularly scheduled podcast episode.
I was fully open, fully present, fully available for every moment, every experience of it. And I had the best time with my daughter. I connected so much. We laughed. We saw new things. I was so curious about seeing. We saw Waymos. I don't know if you know what a Waymo is, but a Waymo is a robot controlled car. There's no driving the car, but it's like a ride share. People are just using these to get around the city. It blew my mind to see someone riding in a car without a driver. I was so fascinated and so curious about everything. I was taking every bit of it in. And I could not have done that in the past because I had just too much pain, too much crap, too much junk in my energy or in my emotional reservoir to be fully present. Now, does that mean I don't still have feelings? Does that mean my life is perfect and it's all rainbows and sunshine from here on out? Absolutely not. I came home, I have COVID. I've been sick for the last 6 days. That sucks. But what I can say is that before when I had COVID, because I've had COVID 5 times now, before when I had COVID, I would go into this fear place. I've shared this before on this podcast. Even when I had it back in 2021, I shared my experience of how fearful I would get that I was going to be the person who ends up on a ventilator because my lungs are shot from COVID, or I'm going to somehow be hospitalized. And I go to this place of catastrophe. Don't know if you can relate, but it's something that I have done and do when it comes to sickness. I've been sharing with you on this podcast my journey with chronic health issues. What I did this past week is I used it as an opportunity for me to do some inner work. I watched my patterns come up. I watched my fears come up. I watched my thoughts, my belief systems, my programs, going back to what I was saying full circle in the beginning of this episode, is I was looking at my programs. Why am I going to a place of I'm going to be on a ventilator and I'm going to end up in the hospital? Why do I go to a place of being in fear? And so for me, my ritual is to journal. I use my journal to explore where these programs came from. And then little by little, they all start to unwind or unravel, and the knot gets looser. And as the knot gets looser, I have more freedom and I'm able to come more into my feminine. So now I'm more into balance and I'm able to be more connected, more creative, more flow. I'm not in this tight place. I'm open, I'm abundant. All of my feminine traits are coming in as I do the work. So the bridge from going from all masculine to feminine, or a balance between the two, is to do more of the healing work. Now, there are times when I can find myself going too much to the feminine, just being in a B state or doing nothing. And that was happening somewhat while I was sick. That's a different scenario because I had to rest, right? It's all about being aware. It's having this 24/7 Awareness. Awareness is key. And I know it sounds like it can be exhausting. And in the beginning it was, but now I invite it because the more I allow myself to recognize when my patterns are coming up, when things are bubbling to the surface, it's just an opportunity. It's an opportunity now. And I'm super excited because like I get to loosen the grip a little bit more. And I know that it is accessible for me to have that abundance, to have that peace, to have that freedom. And if I can clear my inner landscape even more to flow even more, you bet I'm going to invite it and allow it to come in. Awareness is key. And as I allow myself to let it in and I do the healing work and I sit with the pattern, it's often my inner child that is needing something. And my inner controller shows up. The inner controller is trying to protect me by saying, oh, you have to be perfect, you have to perform, you have to hustle. Or my inner controller might even say, Kim, okay, I know you have COVID and you're sick, but look, you got to hurry up and get better. Or Monday's coming and you need to go to the gym. You can't rest anymore. Like, come on, let's go. Or you haven't been eating as healthily as you need to be. That's a problem. You're not doing it right. This is all the inner dialogue, all the chatter that my inner controller does to keep me performing, being perfect, and just trying to do the hustle, do the grind, all of those types of masculine type of qualities. But my feminine side is like, okay, no, we need to just rest a little bit more. And that voice, that adult, it's also my adult voice as well, is just kind of quieting the inner controller. It's okay. This time, we're going to rest and take our time, and we'll get back into a routine or a groove when we're feeling strong enough, when we're feeling fully recovered. And so, first, this is a part of going with the flow of life, following the breadcrumbs. So what I was going to share is that a couple of days ago, I was supposed to record an episode with a guest, and I ended up canceling because I really felt lousy. I just couldn't do the podcast. And in the past, I would have forced myself. My masculine would have stepped in and said, come on, Kim, you could do this. You have to do it. You need to have an episode ready for next week because right now I don't have anything queued up. I allowed myself to schedule that. And then I waited until today, which is a couple of days later now. I'm not feeling 100%, but I'm feeling much better. And I'm so grateful that I allowed myself that space and that grace to rest up and heal a little bit more because now I feel like what I'm recording right now for you is absolutely perfect for the next episode to come out when it releases on Thursday. It will release on July 31st. And this is just the flow between the masculine and the feminine. It's about balance. It's about following the breadcrumbs, following the universe. There's so much freedom to living this way versus the old way of living. And so that's why I really invite you, if you are stuck, if you're struggling with this masculine energy and unhealthy. Let me just say this. Let me also just add one more thing that's very, very important. Masculine energy in and of itself is not unhealthy. There are so many good qualities. Like we want to have our masculine. What I have been talking about in this particular episode is the unhealthy masculine when it is all about being perfect, hustling, finding. It's all about this program that keeps pushing you and driving you to produce outcomes because it's the only way you feel worthy. I hope you have made it to this part of the episode where you hear me saying this. And I'll try to keep coming back in the next few episodes to repeat this because it's such an important point. We're not trying to eradicate our masculine side. We want to get things done at times. It's about balancing the healthy feminine and masculine. And I will continue to talk more about this topic in the next episodes. I just wanted to share with you a little bit about where I've been at in terms of trying to balance my own. So I invite you, if you are stuck in your unhealthy masculine, if you're stuck in this place of you're just pushing yourself to hustle and grind and you're exhausted from it and you want more balance, peace, freedom, abundance, joy, connection, and you want to be present in the way that I talked about how I was present with my daughter. You want to feel the full range of your emotions and fully feel life. Then I invite you, if you're like, how do I do this? If you are wanting to work with me, you can work with me through one-on-one coaching. You can go to my website, kimgrosscoaching.com, where you can book a call with me. We can chat. I can tell you more about it. You can read my book. You can get it on Amazon, free to be, A Pathway to Inner Liberation. I share lots of tidbits in my newsletter, which comes out every week. You can go to my website again, kimgrosscoaching.com, where you can sign up for the newsletter. You can take my quiz to see if you're a people pleaser or a perfectionist. That also will get you on the list. And then subscribe so you can stay tuned. You can be updated on future episodes where I will be teaching and sharing more on this topic or on how to help you take off your masks and be more and more of your true self so that you can go from prison to paradise. I will see you next time on Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. Have a great week.
Hey, Kim Gross here. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Masks Off for People Pleasers and Perfectionists. I invite you to hop on over to my website, kimgrosscoaching.com. Right there on the front page, there's a quiz for people pleasers and perfectionists. You can find out if you have tendencies. You can also get into my newsletter where you will be given valuable content every week on different topics I share here in the podcast. And if you really did enjoy this episode, if you found it helpful, if you found it valuable, please go to, if you're on YouTube, go and subscribe. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, then I invite you to leave a review. You can even do a star review. It doesn't have to be a written review. If you know of someone who can benefit from this podcast or this particular episode, please share it with them. I'll see you next time.